Atheists have faith they exist. The faith they have in their existence is not based on evidence, it is a fabrication and an illusion, and it lacks a logical foundation. Mostly the evidence for their existence is based on emotion and therefore, subjective. The atheist world is phenomenological. Phenomenologists understand their life is absurd. The most influential phenomenologists all struggled with the absurdity of life. Physical life lacks meaning. Matter has no purpose and lacks value. There is no good reason why an atheist would keep on living if they were rational. But to escape the absurdity of their situation, atheists' life is grounded in emotion. Atheists treasure feeling alive. So they continue to live, despite the absurdity of their situation. Atheists continue to live because for the most part it feels good to live. But it is absurd enough to make them want to prevent their children from experiencing the enemy. This does not mean atheists do not still struggle with trying to find meaning in a meaningless world, because they do. But the meaning they find is in physical pleasure. Atheists derive pleasure from sex, hurting others, taking drugs, and amassing worldly possessions. Yet, fun activities have no meaning apart from the pleasure they give. The pleasure-filled life remains an empty life. Atheists will turn to crime and other sources of excitement. Many become adrenaline junkies. Many flirt with death just to try and give life meaning. Unfortunately, there are no boundaries on what an atheist can do and how close to the edge they can go. In this sense, atheists live in a world of make-believe. The reality of an atheist is a world in which only feelings exist. Atheists feel the emotion of existing. Pleasure must exist to explain the physical reality they are in. If everything that exists arose without feelings, there would be no reason for the presence of existence. If nature did not give rise to pleasure and emotions, physical reality could not exist as it is absurd, even with pleasure. Hedonism is the only possible response to atheism. The faith of atheists in their existence necessitates a world without God. But the problem is, this reality is meaningless and absurd, without pleasure. But to accept God would make their pleasure-centered life even more meaningless. If you ask an atheist if there is a God, they will argue there is only one reality, it is physical and it contains only physical elements such as matter, energy, space, and time. But then the implication is such a reality contains no truth, no mind, no life, and no morality. Such a reality is absurd. The only redeeming feature of such a reality is that it precludes the existence of God. But what they cannot escape from is the absurdity of saying physical reality contains no metaphysical elements. There is no room for supernatural factors or elements in physical reality. But there is no way to argue or prove this without introducing metaphysical arguments into physical reality. The only truth possible in physical reality is a truth that is inductive, contingent, and based on probabilities. This is an absurd conception of truth and is inherently incoherent. Truth that is not logical and absolute is a lie. But if physical reality contains no absolutes, where are they? Because absolutes exist. The idea that there is only one reality is an absolute statement. It is an absurd and self-refuting statement, but it is an absolutist one. The claim that metaphysical statements are incoherent is a metaphysical statement. One cannot operate in a way that is not absurd, in a reality that is physical. Where is truth, if physical reality does not contain it? Are we to say there is no truth, no good and no evil? That would be absurd. There has to be these things. To say there is no absolute truth, is an absolute truth. It is more correct to say there is no absolute truth in physical reality. There is no good and evil in the world of an atheist. But we are forced to believe that if there is no truth and no absolutes in the physical reality of atheists, then physical reality is an illusion as is all that which it contains. If there is no absolute truth, there is no absolute physical reality, which means physical reality is an illusion of people who are living a lie. If atheism requires physical reality to exist and cannot exist in a reality in which God exists, then physical reality is an illusion and atheism is part of that illusion. They say they live in an absurd reality with no truth, but they are lying to themselves, because by saying this they are saying they do live in a reality with at least one truth. Ultimately, atheism negates itself and renders itself absurd.